BAMVision is brought to you by Gill, Ladner and Priest, Face Value Health, Belhaven University, JH&H Architects, Home Buyers, Will White, Benchmark Construction, Take One Media LLC, SmartsWeb.
Looking to the future may feel overwhelming. Obstacles may appear too complex and intimidating. Fear blocks your foothold to earn your degree. Don't be left behind. We'll help you balance finances, work, and family on your way up. And we'll climb with you every step of the way and build your faith as we go. We've guided thousands to their educational summit because when you reach your goal, the view is pretty incredible. Belhaven University. Start today, on ground or online.
Jack Chris here with another edition of BAMVision with BAM South and BAMSouth.net. We are in the law offices of Gill, Ladner and Priest in Ridgeland, and I'm pleased to welcome my friend, someone you've seen on BAM South many times before, Mr. Will White of Home Buyers here in Jackson. Will, good afternoon.
Hey, Jack.
Now, I mentioned people who know BAM South have seen you before and seen interviews I've done with you, but I kind of want to, talk through and go over some things that you and I have discussed before and kind of elaborate a little bit. Sure. Home buying. You do have a real estate license, but you're not a typical realtor. For those who may not know what you do, walk us through what a home buyer actually is and how you can help somebody who needs to sell a house.
Yeah, that's a good question and a good distinction that needs to be made. So, yeah, I am buying homes. That is primarily what I do. And so a realtor would be listing other people's property to sell for them. So they're working on behalf of somebody else. I'm simply trying to go straight to the homeowner and buy the house.
And traditionally, who contacts you? I mean, could be anybody and everybody, or is it a distressed property, or someone who's out of town who can't, get to the house and sell it on their own? Who's your typical customer?
Yeah, so a couple of different scenarios. One would be a lot of times people have inherited a house, and it's a few siblings, and one of the siblings might be the executor of the estate, and those are the people that typically contact me. And then other times it's people that actually live in the property, and maybe the property needs some repairs that they don't want to make, and so then they're contacting me directly.
And we'll get into specifics, but of course you grew up in Canton, right? And you're a local guy, which is very important, and we'll get to that later. But what led you to get into this field, Will? Was it the sudden popularity of home flipping, or was it something else that encouraged you to take this career path?
Well, like a lot of times, it's a relationship, and so my dad and I had a relationship with somebody that he worked with that had gotten into real estate, and so, in fact, he and my dad worked together, and so when he left that job and went to do real estate, he kept reminding my dad of how much fun he was having doing real estate and how profitable he was, so finally, after years of hearing all that, he and I both decided to get together and try it ourselves. And
that was how many years ago?
17 years ago.
You've been doing it a long time. What differentiates you from there's a myriad of home buyers out there, and I know a lot of people's mailboxes get inundated with, I'll buy your house, or even phone calls now I'm hearing, and there's other people in the Jackson area who advertise they can do it. What makes you different, Will? Why should people choose you? I'm going to give you a chance to pitch and sell your business here.
Well, that's a really good question. I think what really differentiates me is that, number one, I'm local. And number two, I think a lot of the home buyers out there are really just kicking the tires, testing the waters. When I meet with somebody and I make them an offer, it's something I'm going to stand behind. And so a lot of times you can't count on everybody that's out there saying that they buy houses. It's one thing to make an offer, it's a whole other thing to stand behind that offer.
And you tell people you can write them a check the same day or the same week. That's true?
That is true, and oftentimes it's not necessary, but in some cases when it's necessary for me to close and close quick, if that person needs to get cashed out, then yes, we can close within a matter of a few days.
All right, typical objections you might encounter. First of all, the house is really in a mess. I mean, foundation's shot, you know, the paneling's shot, everything's ruined, the carpeting. You're not going to buy this house.
Well, I mean, we do buy in any condition, and there's, you'd be surprised at some of the houses that I've bought and how rough they really are.
Well, and you know, I may not be able to leave immediately, and you might want me out the next day. After you write that check, you may say, get out the next day. How do I deal with that?
Yeah, well, that's another good question, and something that people are wondering. And so I can close as quick as you need me to, or I can sometimes be as patient as you need me to. So a lot of times people want 30 days to get out. Some people want 45, and in some rare cases, I've given people 60 days. So
how
I try
is
to be flexible.
How is this market for what you do? I mean, you primarily are in the Tri-County, Hinds, Rankin, Madison County area. Is that correct?
That's right.
So, I mean, are you having to battle these out-of-state people, or have you? How's business in effect is what I'm asking, and what does that say about our market, our real estate market?
Yeah, the market is good in Jackson. Jackson is a good place to do this. There are a lot of properties that are older properties, and the city is just big enough to support a good market. But yeah, it's the out-of-town folks sometimes can be the tire kickers. You know, the ones that are just trying to see what they can do with the property, and oftentimes there's no follow-through there.
You know, the other thing that I know about you is that if any obstacles come along, and usually it's, from what you've told me in the past, it's a smooth process. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly smooth. You know, the buyer doesn't have to hire an attorney or have an inspection. You cover that yourself, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a matter of you just coming in there and doing it all. I mean,
well, and it's important that I'm marketing myself as somebody that's easy to do business with, and so it has to be a smooth process for me to get referrals from other people. So if there's anything that I'm just dead set on, it's making the process as smooth as possible.
Do you remember the first house you bought?
I do, yeah, sure do.
Can you tell us what it was, where it was?
Yeah, it was a house in Altawood subdivision in South Jackson. Sure was.
Where I grew up in that area. What's your biggest challenge? Is it the competition, or is it people not knowing about what you do, or you know, the misconceptions that we just clarified for them? What's your personal challenge in this market?
Yeah, there are a lot of misconceptions in this business, and you cleared up one, which is what's the difference between a realtor and somebody that's really just buying houses. But you know, there's so many challenges really once I've bought the property to determine how much it's going to cost, and that's one thing that homeowners really need to wrestle with. Almost always it's going to cost more than what you think, and it does for me, so I know it's going to for them.
Isn't that the case for a lot of things?
I'm supposed to be the professional, and it always costs more, so if they're trying to run the numbers to see whether it's worth putting the money into the property or selling it as is, that's something they really need to take some time doing, is try to figure out what they really think it's going to cost.
Well, and I need to go back, because what I was leading up to earlier was, if any obstacles arise, you are pretty tenacious. I mean, you will look for ways to overcome any obstacles. You don't just say, I'm going to give up, find somebody else, you know, find another buyer. I know this for a fact. You will look for solutions. So you've really become a partner with the seller.
Well, that's
Am I
right.
right?
There are some cases, I'm not going to say they're rare cases, because they happen with some decent frequency, where there are challenges. And so whether that's legal challenges to get the title clear, or whether it's just working through with the homeowner to try to negotiate the right price for them and the right price for me, there's no deal that's just like the other, so you always need to be ready.
And I mean, do you ever say no? I guess you do, occasionally. But
occasionally, but it's rare. There seems to be always a price that I'm willing to pay, no matter what the condition of the house.
And it doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is. I mean, people may be watching this and say, oh, my house is a little dinky thing. He's not going to want this.
Yeah,
it's not true.
All sizes, really, all sizes.
Well, let's talk about the inspection, because I think a lot of people probably do think, well, before Will comes in, the wiring may be shot, electrical, you know, along with the foundation and the appearance of the house, they don't need to do anything, right?
That's right. And you know, you hinted earlier, we do not do a formal home inspection. All I do is a simple 5-minute walkthrough. And so you don't need to be concerned about the condition of your home. I've seen some really rough looking situations, and it doesn't bother me. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for an opportunity where we can help somebody to get out of a home that they don't want to fix up. We're willing to do the heavy lifting, and we're ready to write a check.
You're even your own client, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to talk about that later, I think, at some point. But Will White, if people want to get in touch with you, and I recommend you do, this is my sales pitch, because I've worked with Will, and he's the best at what he does. What is your contact information, rather, and how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, it's 601-906-8400.
And you're
Will White.
You're on Facebook, website, all that, but give the number one more time.
Sure, it's 601-906-8400.
Will, it's a holiday season when the show will air. Are you going to see more business now, or does it drop off and then pick up at the first of the year?
Well, this is a great time to be buying houses because you know, families are getting together, siblings are talking, they're planning on what they're going to do with their property, and you know, so holiday season is time for people to get together and make decisions, and so I'm here if they need me.
Call the man, Will White, Home Buyers. Will, thanks so much.
Thank
we
you, Jack.
appreciate all you've done with us, and you got a great business, and that's what we do here on BAMVision. We promote the great business and great business people. You're one of them.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Jack Chris. Thank you for watching this version or installment of BAMVision on BAM South and BAMSouth.net. We'll see you again soon.
How's Jim doing? He can't go back to work for 2 months. I don't know what we're going to do. The insurance company won't pay and the bills are piling up.
Honey, you need to get legal power. When Craig had his accident, we called Gil Ladner and Priest, and they won our case.
Well, how do I find them?
Go to getlegalpower.com. Easy to remember. Gil Ladner and Priest to get legal power. With Gil Ladner and Priest, you don't pay until they collect for you. Call or click contact us. Easy as that.
We got legal power and a great settlement thanks to Gil Ladner and Priest.